hello again. Here is Solving Inequalities Part 2. So this time, if you look at our problem, okay, last time, this was our problem. And you notice, okay, that we are working with a positive variable, okay? But this time, if you look at the problem, we have a negative variable. So there has to be an extra step, okay? So if we look here, okay, we can still solve this, okay? So as you know, if a number has no sign, it is positive. So we do the same procedure. So the inverse of positive is negative. So we subtract 3. And what we do to the left side, we also need to do to the right side. So I shall also subtract 3 to the right side. So this cancels out, and we are left with negative x is greater than 1. But we cannot have a negative variable. So what we do is we need to make it a positive. So there are two ways of doing that. I either multiply both sides by -1, or I divide both sides by -1. Let me just move the number line down first. So let's do the first one. If I multiply both sides by -1, I will end up with a positive x, but, okay, and a -1. But I need to flip the sign. So now, instead of negative x is greater than 1, we have x is less than -1. Okay? So before I explain why that happens, let me show you that the same thing will happen if we divide. Okay? So let's start with negative x is greater than 1. And what now we do, divide by -1, divide by -1. And we know that when we multiply or divide, if the signs are the same, you end up with a positive. So we end up with positive x because negative divided by negative is positive, okay? And we know that this one will be -1 because positive divided by negative is a negative. And then we need to flip the sign again. Okay? So let me just explain to you why this happens. Instead of variables, let's use numbers. Okay? Let's say 3 is greater than 2. That's correct, right? Because 3 is over here and 2 is over here. Okay? And the further right you are in the number line, the greater your value is. But what happens if we multiply both sides by -1? Okay, so now you will have this. -3 is greater than -2. Where is -3? -3 is here, and -2 is here. And in the number line, the further left you are, the lesser your value. Okay, the more you go to the left, the lesser your value is. So really, if you look at the number line, -2 is greater than -3. So that's why in order to keep this correct, okay, when you multiply by a -1, in order to keep the inequality correct, you need to flip the sign. And so the sign should really be -3 is less than -2. Okay? That's why we flip the sign when we multiply or divide by negative. Okay? So let's try if we divide. 3 is greater than 2 divided by -1 divided by -1. So this will be -3 is greater than -2. Which is incorrect. That's why if we do this, we need to flip the sign. Okay, because the further left you are in the number line, the lesser your value. And that's why, okay, when we multiplied the unknown, the variable, by a -1, because we need a positive variable, okay, we needed to flip the sign to keep the inequality correct. Okay, so how do we plot that now? Since it's just less than, we use an open dot and we put it on top of the -1. And which direction should we go to? Less than, of course, less than needs to go to the left, okay? Because the lesser values are to the left of the number line, okay? So that is the reason why when we are working with a negative variable and we multiply it by -1 on both sides, that's the reason why we need to flip the inequality sign to keep the inequality correct. Hope this is clear, okay? And now I think you can do your work. Okay, bye-bye.